So we are going to start the actual website prep. So we have added some assets, done some little behind the scenes planning on what the site's going to look like. Yeah, I think we're ready to dive in and just kind of start adding stuff. I think kind of do a wide framework and just kind of get the basics going. And maybe not do too much like the in-depth tweaking on each section. So, all right, well, let's jump over to your screen. So really, I suppose you could delete everything but the nav bar.
When we go to our navigator, we actually guess we could just expand everything.
Probably not. Probably just keep it closed.
Okay.
That'll be a little too hard. Yeah, just open up one. So just the heading. So delete that H1 heading.
Okay.
Yeah. And then open up your page wrapper and you just want to delete the other copy. So that's probably a main wrapper. Or actually just hover on the H1 text on the actual canvas. And yeah, just delete that. Hit the delete button.
Just delete.
Yep. All right, so when you have the navigator open, one little tip thing, if you open that up and then hit the middle button between the X and the expand or collapse all.
This one here?
Yep. That'll push it to the side and keep you a full canvas size.
All right. Okay, I like that.
All right, so I suppose we want to start maybe just with the nav bar. Just do a couple.
I noticed this is our new font that we implemented last time, so that looks good.
It is a little hard to read, so we'll have to decide. We might have to up it. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure we delete the container on the nav bar and put our own div block in.
Okay. That's this one here. Okay. Can we do that now?
Yeah, let's start with that. So you just want to drag all the content that's inside of it over to the div.
Oh, so we just want to start dragging individually.
Yeah.
Basically.
Just keep it in the same order. All right, then you can delete the container. And then, yeah, we'll probably just want to make sure we rename that div block. So we'll give it a custom class. So I would probably just name it like nav wrapper or something, nav dash wrapper. Okay. Now we can play around with the sizing later, but I would say the one thing we'll want to do is give it a width of 80 rev. Just that'll be our sizing for our
right here.
All right. Actually, let's go. Sorry, let's
Was that our
let's
Mac?
undo that. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, max with that. Okay, so you're not on the right item right now. So you want to make sure you're on the right item.
Wrapper. And then go here, 80 rev.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. All right, so do you know what sections you're going to be doing?
If I click on nav wrapper, nav bar, nav wrapper. Okay, there it is. Okay, do I know what sections we're going to be doing? So we did talk through this. So we have kind of a little list of our sections that we wanted to tackle. So we're going to have a hero section, or I think if I'm not mistaken, FinSuite calls that a header section instead of a hero section, right?
Yeah. So whatever you're just going to want to, so we're going to want to go down to each section and name them accordingly. Yeah. So we've got a section main. Okay. So you'll want to start with the first one, and you'll just go through and name them. So what you need to do is you're going to want to probably just click duplicate class up in the class thing. Yeah, I would just click
here.
Yep, click that, duplicate, and then delete everything but the section dash, and then type in whatever section you're going to keep that as.
We're going to call this header.
Sure. Yeah. And then just repeat that process for all of those.
All right. And then I think we have our footer, and I think that's all the sections we have planned out so far.
Okay. So, where do you want to start? You want to start the first one?
Well, I guess we might as well start from the top.
All right. So what we'll do is we'll just start to throw elements in until we don't need to style. So what we're going to try to do is either do layouts, do structures, keep moving on. If we suddenly get stuck on something, let's just move to the next one. We'll try to keep this a very broad starting point. So if you want to start in the header, so one thing that we're going to do differently in here, and I'll kind of walk you through this one. So on this one, we're actually going to use the image as a background image. So instead of adding an image element, we're actually going to go in and apply a background image.
Okay.
So if you remember that.
I mean, we're going to add a div.
Nope, because it's a background image of the header.
Of the header. Okay. All right. So where do we go right?
So that's in the background section.
All right.
So then you just click image gradient.
Right here. Okay.
And then we'll add an image. I think that was the far right one, Scotland.
This one right here.
Yep. And then we're just going to do cover and then put it in the center. And the position things are, just the center icon.
Okay.
All right. And then, remember when we were looking through the examples and that the way that the image kind of scrolls past. So instead of it just being like, it's just stagnant and you're moving the page up, it kind of looks like it's scrolling, but that's that fixed option at the very bottom. So you can either do it on this one or on the, just start with this one.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that was kind of a cool look.
All right, perfect. So then you can exit out of that tab.
Okay.
All right, so we'll go back to the header thing. Okay, so now we probably want to decide what we're going to do inside of it. So we're thinking this is just a little 6 text of icon or 6 words on the left. So right now we can't see the image because there's no height to the thing. So we probably want to give it a min height just for when we're designing this of probably like 50 VH. So min height.
All right, so this is our min height.
Yep, just type in 50 VH.
50 VH.
Yep, perfect.
So now why are we not working in rem here?
Well, because if you gave it a rem sizing, that would work for the desktop. It wouldn't work for tablet, portrait, landscape, or like the mobile stuff. So we're not giving it a direct width or size. We're just saying a minimum of this.
Just of the viewable space.
Yes.
Okay.
So like even right now, it's not quite big enough. But right now we don't have other sections in here. So when you're working with specific sizes, like if you're doing an image, that's where you might want a rem. But when we're looking for whole sections, we want to have a way to cover that.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good.
So we can look at the page padding. So let's go into the full elements. So next is page padding. So it's section header page padding. And it is not applying to the background because the background is in the header. So we can leave that. So we can go to the next one.
Yep.
In page padding, go down one. All right, so we've got a container large, which will be the total width of the section. So then inside of that, we can add another section for where we're going to put our content. So you want to add another. And see if you can figure out how you would get that. So first, naming, positioning, and layout to get that to how we want it. If you kind of start working on that, I'll kind of be in the background.
All right. So if we're just adding some text here, we want to add some header. We would probably center that. So let's center that. Add some. We're going to add some.
So why don't you walk us through your thought process on how you're doing this?
Okay.
Like, what are you trying to achieve?
So, all right. So what we're, okay. So we have our div block with our text in it. Next, so do we need a div block for our align center calls?
Well, I guess the question is, what are you trying to achieve? A, you have a div block in there without a name. So that would be good to first name it. So that way you actually know what you're doing. Because right now you've created a class called div block because you started to make settings to that. So I would undo your setting.
That.
Well, first you should undo your setting. You should not be aligning center to stuff yet.
Okay.
So put it back. All right. So first I would go and name what you're trying to do. So this is going to wrap. This is a wrapper probably.
Okay. So this is our header text, our header text wrapper.
Yep. Header underscore text wrapper. Yep.
Text dash wrapper.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So this div block, remember, now we're only working with this div block compared to the whole section it's in. So compared to the parent element, what do we want to do with this div block?
Compared to the parent element, what do we want to do?
So inside the section, where do you want it?
Inside this section, we would like to center align it. Want it center align.
Okay.
And then we would also like to drop it probably about a third.
Okay.
Like we don't want it over the castle, but we want it hanging down into the skyline.
But we don't know. I mean, we don't know yet where the castle is going to end up because right now we don't know if this is going to be the right height. We don't know if this is going to be whatever.
That's true. So we don't want it. Yeah.
You also want to get rid of the. Sorry, do you want to get rid of that capital E? It's really annoying me for some reason.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
All right, so let me just tell you how, since this is the first section, let me just tell you how I would work this out. So,
okay.
So the container large, we don't necessarily want to make changes to that.
Right.
However, we do want to have the entire element moved. So because we want to position it, for example, if let's turn this layout to Flexbox real quick.
Okay. So we're taking the header text wrapper and we're going to change this to a text Flexbox.
Yep. Very top. Either layout.
Layout. Is that this one?
Yep. Okay, so now let's align it to the center and center on justify.
Okay.
And align center. Okay, so here's where we're running into a problem. We are trying to make changes to this div, but it is only making changes inside of its parent element. So because the container large is a global class, we can't go apply these settings to the container. So what we actually need to do is we actually need to grab the header text wrapper and put that above the container large.
Okay, interesting. So what is the container large? Where is that? Where's those parameters?
So grab the header text wrapper, put it above the container large.
Yeah.
So put container large in it. Okay. Then put heading 1 inside the container large for now. All right. So now we can go back to our header text wrapper.
Okay.
And let's do horizontal. Click on the page padding one real quick. All right, let's pull the heading
Okay.
text wrapper above the page padding. All right, delete the page padding. And then want to try vertical instead of horizontal. What we're trying to do is get this centered in the
Obviously, it's not as easy when you're not the one driving. I understand.
all right, delete the container large, but yeah, delete the container large, but drag the heading out. Okay. Oh, okay. So we actually need to go to the section header. Sorry. And we need to make that a flex box. Okay, so actually we need to undo. Hit Command Z several times. Yeah, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Oh, right there. Actually, stop right there. Actually, do one more. Okay, perfect. All right, so we actually want to make this section header a flex box. And then align that to the center and justify to the center. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we can keep working our way down.
All right. Now the text for me is a little bit too low. So I would want the Nessie sighting up higher because it's the way the T is the castle.
So we are not going to have, we're trying to do left. Or you can have, actually, yeah, how do you want it? So you want it centered in the middle?
So I would want the
higher.
text, the green text, just a little bit higher.
Okay.
I just don't want it quite on center. I just want it a little bit above center.
Okay.
So would that be just a little bit extra padding?
So add then a line top instead of a line center.
Top?
Yep.
And then padding on top?
And then we can add some padding on top of it, yeah, if you want. But not on this. We'll add that to the actual container. Yep.
So this one?
Yep.
And then can I type in, can I test 6 rem or something?
Sure.
Yeah, see, that's perfect to me.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So the one thing that I would definitely say is the spacing. What did you learn about spacing from FitSuite?
What did I learn about spacing from FinSuite?
There's already a global spacing. Yeah, there's a global spacing system that already exists. So instead of just adding 6 rem, now you're gonna have to go change it on tablet, on landscape, on mobile. You want to use the top padding so that it changes it. Unless you're happy with that, how it is, 6 rems off.
Oh, right. Well, I happen to be happy with that.
Okay, perfect. All right.
The top padding.
You want to use padding top, padding medium, not just a random 6 rems, but that's fine.
Oh, that's right.
But we can move on to the next section. All right, so that's a good start to this one. The one thing I would do is I would also make a gradient overlay on this image because it seems like it's a little too bright. So let's grab the section.
Okay.
And then go down to the overlays, image and gradient, background first. So add
backgrounds. Okay.
So add another one.
Okay.
And then we'll just want to do an overlay. So not an image. Top areas. Let's do that. Yep, a cover overlay. Yes, and then you can pick the opacity. That's the far right one, the A value, or you can use the little dragger. That's right there.
I was just doing it to my text as well, or is it just the image?
Just the image, but we'll probably actually want to change the text color potentially. But so whatever you're happy with. You don't have to necessarily do this. Depends on how you want to style everything. If you like the dark text, it might look better in green. If you like it darker, it might better do a white text. All right, well, actually, let's just leave it. We can ponder this. Let's go to the next section so we can keep moving on. This is stuff we can work on later. Okay. So you've got your map section. I'm going to let you try to knock this one out. Let me know if you have any questions.
All right. So now in this one, really, I think all we're doing is adding an image to this one, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to add we're adding a div block to this one. This should be a really easy one. So we're adding a let's see, what are we calling? Well, what I could have is I should have had my notes out on my naming convention. That's what I really should have had. The page with the, I'd actually even taken a screenshot of the FinSuite naming convention so that I would remember all of the right dashes and underscores.
So dashes is just how you separate names. Underscores how you separate components. So you could do, what I would do is map underscore.
Yeah.
Or map, I would do map underscore component wrapper, component dash wrapper. And really to start, it's all about making sure as you're scrolling through the navigator, you understand what each element is.
And really, I should just have I should have my cheat code open until I get more familiar with this. All right, so we are going to our image section. It's not a background. Where are my images? Images. That's an element. Nope, it's a media. And this was what was this, a map? Or was this where we can't add it from the what's this section called, from the assets?
No, that was the CMS.
Oh, okay. Is there a reason I can't see that suddenly?
I don't know. You have to click settings on it. On the actual little blue icon. That's fine too.
Okay. Claims to be there.
Well, the thing is, you probably need to add in content into the section. so that way you can actually see what's like. It needs to have height to it.
Okay. But wouldn't the image? So the image wouldn't automatically add height.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it should, but I guess not.
All right. So I could define this, the layout, my component wrapper, I could give that a size to it. So I could define the, my max width to that.
But you don't have an issue of width.
So my max height, you're suggesting?
You don't have a max height problem either. You just don't have any height. So you need to start adding components. You need to add whatever you're going to add on top of this image to give it some depth.
Um, let's see. Guess I don't know what text I guess I am adding some text on top of here. So if I go on to my section, I can add another div block. So then this can be my, all right, so what is my, without my, without my naming convention stuff, how am I naming text blocks? What's my shortcut for naming a text block?
That depends on your strategy. It could be a copy wrapper. Probably.
Okay.
Depends on how you're building it, how you're stacking stuff.
So if I'm just adding random, somewhat random copy, so I'm not necessarily, it's not copy that I'm going to be reusing again. So it's going to relate to the map. So this is map component copy.
If I was, right now I would just be doing map copy wrapper.
Okay.
That's what I would be doing. I mean, I'm assuming you're adding like a heading in this paragraph. So
and then we're adding, am I defining this as, am I adding another div block now as a paragraph?
no, that's just an element. Yep. Just an element.
Okay. I'll drag a Lorem Ipsum in here. Okay. Do I need to name this?
No, not necessarily, because okay. No.
All right. And
Are you adding an heading
to
that or no?
Oh, that's an interesting thought. I could, yeah.
Don't need a div block.
Oh.
Heading. Which you can also use the Command E for in search, but
And then I might want to take this. I can take this down to probably an H2, like you. All right. Now I would have expected our map to show up here to give me some start of a semblance of
Well, that would probably have to do with how you're structuring stuff. So I definitely think you should pause for a minute and just look at your structure, how have your section structured.
Okay. So is this because they are sibling elements now and um they're not child elements?
That would yeah, that partially has to do with it. Yep.
So if I move them underneath it, they-
All right. So part of the issue is with how you've set up the image. So when you want, so when you've got a section and you want an image inside of it, so let's say you've got copy and an image next to it, that's when you use the image element. But you're wanting to place elements inside an image, which means it needs to be a background on the section.
so would this make more sense than to do a grid?
No, you
Or
delete the image and add the image to the background of the section.
okay. Of the wrapper.
Well, do you want it to appear just in the wrapper?
Section.
I mean, if you want it to appear in the whole section, yep, you'd want to do the whole section.
As a background section. All right. Okay. Do that. That makes sense. And then okay. And there, hey, it showed up.
You probably want to cover setting and then determine if it's centered and whether or not it's fixed or not. Okay. So on this section, I'd add a very dark. So you definitely want to use cover. It's your best bet. That'll cover the section it's in. All right, so now just click out of it, just up in the other style panel. Yeah, just click. Yep. All right, so you want to add an overlay on this one, I think. And I would make this very dark.
And it's here.
Yep. Like that's probably a good darkness, just like that.
Okay.
And then I would go to your text.
Okay.
And probably change it to white in this section.
All right. Do we need to do a new add-on class?
Yep. Well, first you need to go to your text. Yep.
Okay.
And then do you remember so it's text, color, and then that's the class add-on.
So you're saying here it's text dash color.
Yep. So it looks like there's only a couple color. Well, so we don't have a white created yet. So I guess you could create the class. Yep.
Yeah.
So create that, and then you could change that color to white in the typography setting.
Okay.
Then just grab probably the white from our color panel. Or our swatches. Yep. Okay. And then I'd probably do the same. I'd probably do the same for the paragraph. And now that class should exist. And you don't have to have all the dashes. You can just kind of be, but yeah, that's perfect. Well, all right, there you go.
All right.
And so then the question is, are we centering this again?
Probably would make sense to get them centered at least. You know.
All right.
All right. So now. All right, now this is where I'm gonna get tripped up. Can we just turn this into a flex box then again?
So you always want to start with the parent element, what's giving its current size, and you want to go to the custom class. So map copy wrapper.
Yep. So then put this into a component.
Well, that's not the copy wrapper.
Oh.
And then I would try centering it. So I'd go down first. I'd center the text, see if that works. There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Actually,
then
I don't know if I want to. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Nope, that's good.
All right. So then on the actual, so what actually, you know what? I know what we're missing. We are missing the vertical padding. So open up. See, this is not in the page padding either.
Right.
So you want to take this whole section and put it in the page padding because it's supposed to be in the container large.
Move this all into here.
Yeah, you further down, open up page padding. Yep, then throw it in the container large.
Throw page padding.
No,
in.
undo. Wait. Yep, undo. No, you want to go open that up. You want to throw the component in the container large.
Throw map component in
Yeah.
container large.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so
what just do there?
But you had started building it. You added a component to the section, making it a sibling element of the page padding. You didn't put it in. You didn't go enough layers in. So if you look at the next section NFT or something, or newspaper, you'll notice there's page padding. Actually, I'm going to have to move our images real quick. Okay.
Oh, sorry. I could minimize the Nav Bar too.
So you'll notice there's page padding, container large. There's one more that we're missing, and I just need to find that real quick. It's vertical. It's vertical padding, I think. So I think what we want to do, I'm trying to figure out where I want to add the vertical padding. Let me go look at quick. Right, it's a page wrapper, section, edit component, page. Okay, so that's what we missed. Okay, so we want to add a class. So it's the first one inside container large. Add a new div when you've got the container large section set. Yep, so Command E. Throw a div. And then you want to name that div padding vertical, and that class should already exist. Okay, so you grab that. All right, so this is one of the classes where you have to select that.
All right, what says you're not currently logged in?
Okay.
Again.
Okay, so let's copy. All right, so let's go back to the container.
All right. Let's see. So we're working on. Where are we at here? Container. Page padding.
Container. Yep, the container.
That's
Then Command E, add a div.
Okay.
And then name that div, padding vertical.
Vertical.
Okay. And then you want to give it, so this is the combo. So now it's padding vertical, which means it's going to add padding vertically. So now you want to do a combo class, or the add-on class of what? So you can now do padding dash. Actually, I would just type in pad, PAD, and then pick a size. So you can do large. Let's start with pad large. Okay, and now you can put your map component wrapper inside of that.
Quite.
You grab it and put it. You need to go right a little more, and then right underneath.
Yeah,
The
well, quite. It won't let me go right any further.
All right, we'll hit Command C on that item. Then open up padding vertical and commit Command V, and then delete the bottom one.
Okay.
All right, there you go. So that's how you'll give height to your section. So you could also go I'd probably go pad X huge or something, just because pad large isn't nearly enough, because you probably are gonna want to take up a decent chunk. Or pad XX huge or something.
Where are we at? This one?
Yeah.
To change this?
No, delete it. Just remove it. Just backspace it. And then add a different one. So pad X huge or something. Boom. That's probably actually what we should have done with the top one. That's the component we were missing, which is why it wasn't giving us the sizing vertically. Might scroll down a little bit. We're losing.
Okay. All right. I can type some of this off screen. I just wanted to get a little bit of copy in here so that it didn't look just completely
Okay. I would definitely say let's take the fixed setting off the top thing. Because it does kind of look weird having two images, and we might have to change up the position so it doesn't go image. But it's weird, I think, to have both fixed. Let's see if you can remember how to take that fixed setting off the top one.
So we go to section main wrapper, and we go to background, maybe
So you got to look at what element you're on.
main wrapper, section header. Let's go. Fixed, but not fixed.
There we go.
I don't like the way that text hits.
Well, we'll figure that out a little later. The one thing we didn't add now is we actually want to go delete the rem that you added on the padding in that site. So I think we added it in just the main wrapper.
All right.
Or sorry,
So
the
then
heading.
we can deal with that later.
I guess. Okay.
Could we? Yeah.
All right. So let's get on to the next section.
All
that
right.
you're going to build, and that's your newspaper one.
Yep.
So what I would do is right off the bat, I would go in and fix the vertical padding issue. So see if you can figure out how to fix that in the next section. So see how you did it in the first one and then fix it in the second one.
All right. So, um,
Okay, you muted yourself.
sorry. All right. So I was kind of mumbling, so that was okay. You didn't miss anything intelligent. I was just scrolling through these sections here. So, in large, so we want to add another div block. Which we're going to then look for pad X. So there's no extra cube.
So if you look at that now, go look at your sizing. Go look at your sizing on that. Yeah, Command Z. You must have deleted it. Command Z. I think you must have deleted it. There you go. So now.
Okay. Oh, we just did padding vertical.
Well, yes. If you look at padding X huge, so now go to padding X huge.
Yeah.
So click it. You'll notice now it's padding on all of them because you didn't assign the vertical.
Okay. Padding. Well, I just want to name this padding vertical.
Yeah, and then give it the size.
Padding vertical. Okay. And then we don't know what size I want yet.
I'd probably just give it 1 so that it's a filler. Yeah, I'd start with 1.
Okay.
One other interesting thing that we could change is if you look at, I just wanted to do this while we're thinking about this. In your middle section, the copy is a little wide. So that would be exactly a good place to change the container width. So right now it's set as container large. So you should go up to container large.
Okay.
And then go up and delete the class and just add in container medium. So we do CONTMED and container medium should come up. No space. Go. That's also not short enough, so you can do container small. Let's say it's a max width of 49. Well, I guess that's true. But all right, well there we go. I guess it's still on small. Small actually doesn't make sense. But okay, I'll take a look at that later.
All right.
Do you want to close some of your like the main wrapper, some of your other like close it all, but just the yeah, that works. Yeah, just collapse it all first and then refine where you're at. That's okay. There we go.
All right. So this is my newspaper. So this is my I just wanted to open some of that up again, just 'cause I'm trying to use that as kind of some cheat codes for how I'm structuring it. All right, and then let's see. Now we have here, we have an image, but this really isn't a background image. This is a featured image that is part of the kind of a highlighted image that we could talk about. That isn't, so that's more just inside this wrapper.
Yeah.
So that I can just insert as an image here.
No, because that's the background. Or sorry, yeah, you do it as an image, not as the background. Yeah.
Not as background.
I mean, you could, but the problem is, so the background images play differently to screen readers and stuff. So when possible, we want to add actual images. What did you just do?
I canceled it, I think.
Okay.
Oh, so I had to click that background, but I didn't want to do that.
So you want to add it?
I just want to add an image. So I want to do that from the elements. So I want to go from here. So can I just go right to media?
Well, always don't start with the media. Always start with the.
Oh, that's right. Div block.
I think you added that image to
Over
the section
element?
beneath you. I think you added the image to the section.
I hit Control Z.
Okay. Yeah, so always start with Command E and then image. Go.
Okay. And that's really all we want for this particular image for now, or for this entire section for now.
Yeah, so I would say
maybe some padding.
Oh, it looks like it's doing decently. I would say let's start by grabbing that whole section and let's bring it above the other two. Let's split them up because I do like some of that white.
Oops. So we want to have, all right, let's do this. So we want this after the header.
Yep.
Okay.
And it is a little big, so I'd almost, I guess it's not too bad. I was almost gonna say I'd almost go from container large to container medium.
That's reasonable. So I just delete this.
Yep. This really should be shrinking it down. 60. Yeah, it goes 64. Oh, I guess the problem is actually you want to Command Z once, or sorry, not Command Z, Command minus.
All right, so
Yeah, do media. Yeah. Problem is we're zoomed into a low pixel thing. Okay, there we go. Now scroll up. Okay, I don't know why his 64 rems is, yeah, it should be smaller one. I mean, you can see actually the copy. Go down to small. I don't know why that's. Well, actually, never mind. We'll deal with that later. Let's keep going. I think it's looking decent. We're starting to get there. Let's go to the next section.
Okay. All right. So we got newspaper header map. So then we're on to our NFTs.
Yes. Okay, so it's the same vertical padding, all that stuff. And this is where we're gonna actually pull in our CMS stuff.
Okay. So this is going to be a little bit more complicated then. It's going to be pad vertical, and then this is going to go large.
Okay. So what we're gonna do is let's go down to your section that you're working on.
Oops, did I do this in the wrong place? Oh, I did.
So open up your section all the way. There's some other unopened divs.
I need 1 second here. Excuse me. 1 second. Okay.
So just finish opening up your section, yeah, just because there's more stuff in there. Okay. So in the Command E, or sorry, in that padding vertical, let's do Command E.
Yep.
Add a div. All right, and let's name this NFT component or NFT _ component. Perfect. All right. So we are now going to go to our elements tab, and we can obviously just use Command E, but we're going to go to the elements tab, and we're going to go down to the CMS, and you're going to drag in a collection list. Okay. So you're now going to select the list you want. Boom. All right, and then do Command E and add an image. All right. So now you've seen all these purple options come up. Okay. So that is an option to bind something. So let's also go over to the style panel into the settings icon. All right, so these are the 2 settings where we will start setting up our binding. So under the settings image, or the image settings that's on the canvas, let's grab get image from Nessie NFT. So select that, and then select the field, and then the NFT image. All right, there we go. So we're going to probably want to set a height and width. Yeah, that's really cool. Now it's already pulled in all those images. So let's set in like a 10 rem height.
I think I'm going to do rem.
Type in 10 rem again. Okay, maybe this does not take rems. Yeah, try it over there. We might have already had set. All right, well, let's just do 160 pixels for now. We'll have to see if that's something we can change. And then okay, so they are all coming up uneven sizes. So there's 2 options. Number 1 is we can leave all of the options different sizes, but that doesn't look very good. So what we're actually going to do, so we're going to leave those images. We're actually going to pull in another div into the collection item. So go collection item 1 now.
Okay.
And Command E. Grab a div. And we're going to give this div a size of, so now go to the style panel so we can set a size. And we're going to set the width to 10 rem and the height to 10 rem. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the settings icon. And we're going to click get background image from Nessie NFT. Perfect. And then select the field. Boom. All right, so let's delete the first one. All right, so now we just want to work on centering it. So we want to make sure it's set to cover and center. Oops, go back to where you just were. Want to be able to set the click under the NFT image. Somehow we want to be able to center it and cover. Click the NFT image real quick. The NFT image setting, sorry, over in there. Yep. No, down under where you grabbed the NFT image from. Yeah, there you go. Okay. All right, so go back to the style panel. I'm trying to remember how we would style this to cover. Maybe we have to go down to backgrounds. Open up the background tab. And then do image and gradient. and then click cover and center. There we go. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's how we'd roughly start our CMS. So that'll kind of crop some of the images. Not all of them are 100% perfect. All right, so now the question is, how do we want to sort this? So I would grab the whole collection list. If you go to the navigator and grab the collection list, not the collection item. Let's now change this to a grid.
All right. Good luck with that. How do we do that? Can we just, how do we do that?
So just scroll up to your layout and select grid. In your settings, in your style panel, you need to scroll up. Sorry, not in your settings, in your style panel, scroll up and click grid.
Okay.
To right. Yep, there you go. Boom. So let's go 3 wide. So let's add a row.
Plus 3. Okay.
Or I guess how many rows do you want? Or columns, sorry. Let's go through. Sorry.
12.
Sorry, add a column. Sorry.
Okay.
So you could do 4 by 3, 3 by 4, however you want.
Yeah, depending on what other information we add, this should be sufficient.
Okay, and then let's change the gap and the gap to 1 rem instead of the pixels.
Gap to 1 rem.
Perfect. All right. So that is the start of our collection. And so later we can pull some of the copy, some of the description, some of the other stuff to it. That's our very start of how you bind items.
All right, very good.
So I would say, do you want like a header in there above the collection list that says like my NFT collection, or do you want it just left like that for now?
It would make sense to have a header in here.
Okay. So you would just add that above the NFT component.
Okay, so we'll move that. And so this is going to say, this is going to be a NFT
Copy wrapper. So dash copy dash wrapper.
Header wrapper.
Copy, because it's not a header.
Copy. Oh, I thought it was going to be our header wrapper. Oh,
yeah, but if you put...
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Okay. All right, so we're moving this up to above there. And then we're adding in... We're adding a div block here.
Nope, just a heading. Because your copy wrapper is now wrapping all of your heading.
All right, and then we're saying NFTs.
Okay.
Enter. Off of that, and then we're changing that to like that. So
here's how we want to do this for SEO settings. So we actually do want it to stay the size of a huge one, an H1, because you want it to be visible. So, but for SEO purposes, we need to have it H2. So over in the styles panel, you could now open up the class heading large.
Okay.
Because on our style panel, that was or XL, sorry, a heading's XL, sorry, extra large. There we go. And then how do we center this?
We can make a flex box and...
No, well, first off, no, because you're on page padding, so you need to undo that because you were supposed to make. So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can either add text align center, but that would stack classes on the actual heading. You could do that, or you can just grab the copy wrapper and center that because that's a custom class.
We can just copy the center, align the center here.
Yep. And then something I would probably do would be to add 2 rems of padding on the bottom. Yeah, just so kind of space it out a little bit. And then it seems like the whole padding vertical needs a little more because it is a little too close to the map. So I'd add some more spacing. Nope, just on the padding vertical. That's what the padding vertical does.
And that won't change it on other padding verticals.
No, because that's a global add-on class. Wait, what are you talking about? Oh no, so you need to delete padding large and do padding extra large.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay. There we go. So that's the start of that section. So we did the news, we did the NFT display. So I see we did kind of have the nav on there, but I'm seeing we need to add history. You're gonna add a history section, a forum section, and a footer. Are those the last 3?
We got some videos, a story, and a
Videos,
form.
that's right. Okay. All right. Well, let's go to the next one.
Okay. Next one is our form.
So if you just want to clean up make sure that's all finished up in there.
We're calling this extra or adding large.
Yeah, I mean, either way. I mean, that's the nice thing about having all of these separate div blocks is you can literally now go padding vertical and boop, delete that, add in extra large, add in, extra huge or whatever, instead of having to go find stacked. And you can just copy that padding vertical div block and paste it into the bottom.
Excellent. That is what I just did into the bottom too.
Nice.
Okay, very good. You're tracking there.
Oh, okay. I see what you're doing. Okay. And that actually should have been on our first section when we copied the ball.
Yeah.
So what are we doing on this one?
Really, we had already really done this on our sample site.
Oh, okay. You're just doing the
so
form.
Really just that straight up form. Can we copy this from that other sample site?
Well, we will not want to because the classes are different. So
okay,
but we can copy the copy. Yes. So just want to name that.
All right. So this is our Netsy. This is our Netsy form.
Okay, so that is so Howard. Right. Let's think of so delete that all. When you're going to be searching, let's say you're on the next page and you're starting to build that. Yeah. So you actually want to do form _ component because that is something we might use on other pages.
Yeah, wrapper.
And I would just not. I would lose the wrap. Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. Perfect. And then let's add in, so you click done on how many videos do you have?
Let's see. I think I have 5, so let's make room for 6.
Okay, so let's see. I do it 2 by. Perfect.
Row.
All right, so let's now click down on the very bottom. You might need to scroll down a tiny bit. We're kind of losing that bottom thing. Okay, so now let's grab the first item, the first block on our grid. Oops, like done. Do Command D and add in a video. All right, so then you can put in the URL. All right, so we've got that. So on the previous section, then the origin story, how are you wanting to display that information? Are you wanting to do like one of those back and forth kind of grid where it's got some content and image content, and then like kind of go down? Are you wanting to make a timeline? Are you like how are you wanting to display that information?
Of these videos?
No, the origin.
Oh, the origin, I just thought it's was just a little bit of paragraph text.
Is it how is it separated by year by?
It's
Just trying to.
really just some. It's really just some. So far, just some short paragraphs from Wikipedia.
Are they categorically? I'm not asking about the actual content. Are they? How are they? How is it sorted? Like, is it categorically? Is it chronologically?
It's so far. It's just a little bit of information.
Okay, let's. I just want to see if we can teach you another thing. So let's inside that section. Let's add a new div.
Okay.
So you want to click the vertical padding so the div actually goes in, or that's fine too. And you can drag it. So if you're in the item, if you have the item selected that you want it in, it'll automatically pull it into that item. All right. So let's name this origin component or origin wrapper. Either way. All right, and let's bring in a tabs element. All right, so what this will do is now we can first go in and start naming these tabs, but you can name them different things. I don't know if these are category, like we could name them categorically. So you could click edit here and
So we could do. So we could do. Fact hoax or fact fiction hoax or something like that.
yeah, however the information is sorted. It's about sightings or yeah, whatever you want. Yeah.
There. How about we'll make it fact fiction and fables or
Okay.
It'll be just kind of fun.
So you can exit that and then actually go and name each tab. You have to double click to add that text.
Oh. Okay. Well,
All right, and we'll end up going into organize them later. So if you want to click on that little extra element underneath, yep, click that. All right, so inside tab 1, so you'll see how it's kind of sorted. It's very interesting. So you've got a tabs menu, the actual links, and then the actual content. So if you want in this one, if you want to do a Command E, open up a div, and we'll just call it copy wrapper for now. Actually, we probably should call it tab 1 copy wrapper. Or fact, I guess probably not tab 1 because we might reorganize the tabs. So do origin fact copy wrapper, something that you'll fact copy wrapper. There you go. That's good enough. Fact copy wrapper. And then you can throw in just a paragraph. Right. And throw in copy. And you said this is not our copy. This is someone else's. So it's just
correct.
we're not. We got to cite our sources. And then later we'll have to learn how you like style the tabs as we're hovering on which ones are active, et cetera, et cetera. You might need to scroll down a little bit. We can't see the bottom. There you go. Actually, it's pretty ugly. Get rid of that. Let's just put Wikipedia. I don't think we're actually going to use it for. Okay, good enough. So then you need to go in the perfect. Yep.
All right. So theft fiction.
So you need to go into the tab's content menu.
All right. So I got to figure out in this menu here. We'll do that. I got to make sure I'm in the right. So minimize that. Link. That's link. All right. Tap contact. Back. And here I need to do a paragraph.
So a div first.
Yes, a div. Oh, did I not do a div? Okay. Div. I'm calling this. This is my. This is my
Fact or fiction. Sorry, dash copy dash
this is my
wrapper.
origin.
No, sorry, fiction.
Origin,
Fiction dash copy dash wrapper.
fiction dash copy dash underscore wrapper.
No.
Wrapper.
The underscore just signifies if it's a new component that'll house many elements. So hypothetically, we could just put the paragraph in here without any div block. The issue would come if we end up adding a header, if we want to add styles or sizing to each tab. We definitely want a div block inside of there. So that's why we just go and grab the. Did we not add the fable to the tab 3?
Somehow it got renamed.
Did you Command Z? Do you want to make sure that we still have copy in the first tab? Click the little preview button.
This?
Yeah, and then just click the first one. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So I will have to work on some copy for each of these.
Okay. So then we've got our footer section. That's the last one.
So let's do this. So the fact that the table is gray, is that throwing me off? Does that signify?
That means it's the active tab. So if you click on the settings, if you clicked on the settings icon,
There.
you should.
Okay, there. Now we're in the fiction
Yeah, there you go.
paragraph. Okay.
All right. So now for our footer, I don't know what you want to do on the footer.
I really haven't thought that far ahead yet. I suppose.
So we can wait for a little bit then on the footer. Maybe we can do that next.
I think we should wait.
Okay. So why don't you condense real quick your last sections? And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to, before we're done on this video, we're going to do one or two more things. We're going to actually go into each section. So grab the first one, the section header. And we're going to go into the settings icon and we're going to give them each an ID section. Give them each an ID.
Okay. What does that mean? What would that look like?
So, you could do header, newspaper, NFT. So it's just that if we use anchor scroll.
Okay.
And then we'll also want to rename the tag. See where it says div? go back up. Sorry. Go back to the first one.
Okay.
Click div. And we want to go down to section. There you go. Perfect. All right. That's just for Google letting them know that each one of those is its own section. And then just go grab the main wrapper. I just want to make sure that that's gotten the right class. The main wrapper real quick. The main wrapper. And then just give it a div of go to tag and go to I think main. Yeah, that's the one we want, main. Okay. So let's, for fun, we're just gonna, this is the last thing we're gonna do in this video. We're just gonna go grab one of those tabs for up in the navigator, and we're just gonna set up one anchor scroll. So if you want to rename one of those things up in the navigator to one of the random sections.
What navigator? What are we talking about?
The nav bar, like the menu buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah, just rename one of them to a section and we'll link it to one of the sections. So rename, so you have to double click on the button to name it, not the text. Yeah, just double click. There you go. And rename it to a section.
Okay.
Barely read that. We'll definitely have to. What is
Videos.
that thing? Okay, so then if you want to go in the link settings, you can go over one more page section. Yes.
We're going to call it video.
All right, there you go. So you can click the preview button now, and we can click that.
Bam. Takes us right down to the videos.
There we go. So there is one, if you are building this, let's say you've got many pages, you can, you don't actually use the anchor scroll. You actually use a custom URL and put in the full URL of the page and then do hashtag that so it actually jumps you to the right page. All right. So there's still a bunch of work we need to do, but I think it's a good time to wrap this up for this video.
I like it.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if, do you think we can knock it out in one more? Do you think we'll need two? We actually had a bunch done.
I think it might be a couple more, but this is good stuff.
I mean, I guess
we'll clean up.
Yeah, I guess we have to add some interactions, some responsive stuff, but all right, good job.